Yeah, I know you guys have like a lot of California pride. I literally just went there for the first time ever, which is so wild because I've been, working music for like 6 years now. Went to Palm Springs. Here's a venue for you guys. Went to an old people casino, and I saw a cover band. The reason I asked, I was like, yeah, how were you able to film all of that? Because I did not realize that like California had all of that in one place, but being in Palm Springs, within like an hour drive, you're in desert, mountain, green, ocean, or I guess it was a lake. Kind of wild.
California, like as much as it's on the nose, it's pretty amazing. It's definitely got its issues for sure, but overall, I mean, it's pretty great.
And you know what tune I bumped as soon as I landed at LAX? Sun Keeps Shining. That's honestly one of my favorite tracks by you guys. I'm like, first of all, I was alone, and I'm driving a rental car alone all the way through the mountains, and it was like the perfect song to listen to. So very selfishly, I want to ask you about that track and just kind of like how it came to be.
I'll be completely honest with you. Like, you try to remember like sessions, because you do a lot of them obviously, and like a lot of them kind of feel similar, so you're like, which song was that? But I do remember Sun Keeps on Shining. We wrote that song and didn't have any drums. We finished the day and like had the whole song basically workshopped. It didn't feel right to add drums, so that song kind of sat for a while. We really liked the chorus, and then it sat there for a minute, and then I think our producer Simon like just unlocked kind of that like, that breakbeaty like feel to it, and then it kind of like cracked open the song of like, okay, like, the song went from like just a workshopped thing to like, oh, we should put this out and like keep working on it and getting the bass in and stuff. So for us, like a lot of the songs we write, like for whatever reason, we sort of just write them and like get them out, and like we'll finish them in like a day or two. And I do remember Sun Keeps on Shining was like for us a little bit more of a process, like, okay, coming back and like writing other tunes and then coming back. And so once we kind of cracked it with Simon, it felt like, okay, like we've got something here.
Yeah, actually, I spoke with the band yesterday, and they were saying how they've never been able to start and finish a track like in the same session. A lot of times they'll book a session. They're like, all right, like let's get an album done in like the next 6 weeks. And they've never been able to do that. Would you say that's common practice for you, holding on to a track like you did with Sun Keeps Shining? Or do you typically one and done it?
Yeah, I mean, it's always different, but we kind of one and done it a lot.
I feel like sometimes if we're like writing with an idea or something and we're not like 100% like everyone's super stoked on it, sometimes we'll just be like, all right, let's move on to another idea the next day. Like we'll still like finish the song, like we'll get verse, chorus, verse 2. A lot of times we'll just like move on to a new song and just like, okay, let's start from scratch again today. And sometimes like the best songs we end up doing are just like made really quickly. End up finishing them, within one day. From then on, we'll kind of look back at like, maybe we do like a week of studio sessions and then look back on the songs, be like, oh, this was a standout for us. Let's like kind of revisit this one, rework some of the lyrics, rework some more production on it. That's kind of like how we've been revisiting our songs, I guess.
It's really interesting to hear other people's like different creative processes. I think I read an interview or listened to a podcast that you guys were on where your track Sunburn kind of just started because you knew you wanted to name a track called Sunburn.
Yeah.
It's funny how some people would never even think to do that, and other people, like you are like, let's just make a fucking song called Sunburn.
I'm always so inspired by like the people, like I know Stevie Nicks, I remember one time she said in an interview, she just writes poetry and then shows up to a session and then creates it from there. And that's like, I don't know if we've ever done anything close to that, like at all, bro. So like, it's funny to see people's different creative processes and how it works for others and whatnot.
Yeah, honestly, and I feel like people get shit on a little bit when it's not as quite robust and poetic, but I'm like, it doesn't actually matter because clearly you're able to, to sustain a large career from it.
Like that's pretty cool. That's like that would be way cooler if we're like, yeah, man, we write a beautiful piece of poetry and then come it and say that'd be way cooler.